Hey, Kale Realty brokers. I wanted to put a video together about a really very interesting and I believe be very effective way for you to do a listing presentation using some of the tools that we provide that you already have at your arsenal and probably don't know that even exist. And I want to specifically show you how to use them to get a listing in a scenario that maybe isn't a referral where you probably wouldn't have to do any sort of presentation, but maybe it's you're trying to win the business and the owner is, interviewing you and wants to see, what you're going to do for them to help them sell the home. So we're going to actually use a bunch of different tools that may at first seem a little overwhelming, but I assure you, after you do this once or twice at most, it'll be very, very easy altogether. What you're going to do is prepare this before you meet with the seller, and it'll only take you really just a few minutes. But I want to go through it step by step, and I promise you this is pretty cool stuff. It's going to be a lot different from if that seller is also meeting with other brokers from other firms, and maybe you're in competition to get the listing, and maybe they're just going to show a PowerPoint presentation of here's what I do for my sellers, and that's great too. We want to take it to the next level. So I didn't know what to call this other than guaranteed to impress your sellers. It's not necessarily guaranteed, but it is something that I've never thought of or seen before, but I'm really excited about. So it's a bit of a long video, but I promise you it is absolutely worth it because I guarantee none of your competition, I'm assuming, will be doing anything like this. So let's get started. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is talk about what am I actually going to show you in this video. So, because I've talked a little bit in generality, you really don't know what we're going to be doing. So here's specifically the steps we're going to take, which are actually pretty simple. One, we're going to use the technology that you already have through Home 123. It's our technology partner. They provide really two things for brokers. One is a front-facing website, a public-facing website that's custom. You can make custom for your own personality. You can write content for it. It's basically a website you can use to market your business. It's also has an MLS search built on every page, and it's really, really cool. So, but we're not even going to talk really about the front end of the website. We're going to actually exclusively be using the back end, and the back end is solely for brokers to use. There's various marketing tools in there. So we're going to actually really only be using the back end. So I'm going to talk about what we're going to do there. First, we're going to create a website for this listing that you don't yet have. So you're going to basically do this prior to the meeting that you have with the seller. We're going to create a website for the home you're trying to win, and it's basically a fake website in the sense of you don't already have the listing, but we're going to pretend that you have the listing to show to this broker, hey, if I get the listing, here's what I do. So we're going to actually do this in advance. We're going to create a website for this listing. Then what we're going to do is create a way that if a prospect who might be interested in buying this property happens to maybe walk by, and you have a way for that prospect to get information about the property immediately to their phone. So I'll explain as we get to that what that looks like. And then for you as the broker, how you receive that prospect's information. So basically the idea of this is we are going to demonstrate to the seller, hey, here's what I do for my clients. I build them a website for their own property, specific to just their property. And then I create a way that if a buyer is interested and happens to be walking by, there's other ways that you could get this code out to people who are interested in maybe looking at this home. But the most obvious example is we're going to put a link on the sign, or rather a text code. A buyer walks by, text in to get information, and then I want to show you, Mr. Seller, Mr. Homeowner, what happens when somebody does that, what the prospect sees, and then what I see, so I can follow up and help try to get your home sold. So anyway, I probably made that more complicated than it needs to be, but it's very, very simple and very cool. So let's actually talk about what you need to do before you get to your meeting with your seller. All right. The first thing we want to do is figure out, just to make it a little easy for you, is we want to determine if this property has ever been on the MLS before. So log into the MLS and do a historical search and go back a ways and see if you can find that property by the address and try to pull all the data you can from that, property, because there's oftentimes there'll be remarks, and obviously you'll know bedrooms and bathrooms and things of that nature, and you'll basically get all the information you need. So copy down the most pertinent information. You don't have to get super specific about, the type of air conditioning or heating, but just get the basics, bedrooms, bathrooms, just a couple of things. Maybe copy the remarks section and put all of that in a text file. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, if you can't find the listing, if it's never been on the MLS before, if it's like a new construction, that would probably be on the MLS too. But for whatever reason you can't find it, maybe just do a Google search for the address, see if it's ever, Zillow or Trulia might have an old archived copy of it. If not, you could just kind of make up the information. It doesn't matter, because this is just for demonstration purposes, and if it's not accurate or perfect, it's not going to matter. But if you can find it, just copy the most basic info into a text file. The next thing you're going to need, or you should get if you can, is also a few pictures. Now, it's important that if you are finding information about the property through the MLS, that obviously that was probably listed with someone else, and those are their photos. So if you're just borrowing them for a demonstration purpose, that's okay. Once you're done with this demonstration with the seller, you're going to delete this website anyway, because it's not going to work the way you really want it to once you get the listing. So you're just going to use it for the purposes of showing them what you're going to build. So it's probably okay just for the demonstration purposes. But of course, you cannot use anyone's photos when it actually comes to listing a property other than your photos, right? And if you can't find a picture, what you could always do is, maybe do a Google image search, or just find some standard pictures of a home, although it would be cool to find ones of the actual home. Or you could always call the seller too and say, hey, I'm in preparation for a meeting. Can you just forward me over a few pics of the interior of your home? I'm going to do something kind of neat for you. And that would be perfectly fine as well. The third thing that you really need, and it's a little tricky, so please bear with me. We need your cell phone number, which obviously you're going to have. One thing that you can do, which, this is a step you don't necessarily have to take, but it is kind of adds another layer of sort of wow factor to this presentation, is going into your Facebook, your Twitter. There's a number of other social media platforms that are connected to this backend, but those are the two big ones. If you have a Twitter and Facebook account, what you could do is go into your account and change the email address associated with your account to the email address that your mobile carrier would have provided to you. Now, you probably don't know that email address. I know I didn't, because I never have used it, right? But there's a specific reason why we need that. If you don't want to go into Facebook and Twitter and change your email address for your stuff, for your own personal account, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So if you don't want to do that, go into Twitter and Facebook and make sure you know what email address is associated with your account. So if you don't want to switch it to the mobile one, like the one I have listed here, then just, make note of which one is associated, which you probably already know. Okay, so long explanation, but very simple. Find the MLS information from the property if it's ever been listed, copy it down, find a few photos, and then go into your Facebook and Twitter and see what email is associated with it. If you want to change it to your phone's one, you might not even know which one your phone's email is, so you could Google around for that looking, or if you just paste that into a text file, it's fine too, because that's what I'm actually going to do. Okay, so that's all we need to do to go forward. All right, so let's actually get started here. So what we're going to do is we're going to log into our Home 123 backend system. And I'm not going to spend time on how to do that. There's other guides on how to. So I'm assuming you already know how to do that. If not, stop the video and go and check out some of the other places to learn how. But anyway, and I'm logged in as Nick Patterson, who I am not, of course. So I'm going to log in as him. So we're going to pretend I'm him for the moment. And he's going into a listing presentation. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is your dashboard, is we're going to go over to listings. Now, it's automatically going to pull all of Nick's listings that he has in the MLS, which is associated with his MLS ID. And I think it scrapes it once a day, but obviously this is one you wouldn't have yet. So we're going to manually add one. So we'll click on the plus button, and we're going to ignore this autofill, which actually sort of works in certain ways and sort of doesn't. So you don't really need it. What you can do though, if you do have the MLS ID, if that property has been on the MLS before, you can add it there and click on the little finder icon. If it doesn't autofill, you're going to have to manually fill all the information, which we're going to do anyway. If it does, great. You'll still have to add the photos. But anyway, we're just going to pretend that we do it all manually here, which is probably how you would do it anyway. So we're going to just scroll down here to listing information, and I'm just going to type in a little bit of information about the listing. So I'm going to ignore area, MLS number, you just make one up. So all the way, I just put all the zeros and ones, status, I'm putting active, list price, just, put whatever you think it should be, bedrooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, probably not important, square feet, that's basically probably all you need. So you're just filling out a couple of the fields there. Other features, if you want to add some of this, you can. Again, it's probably not important for the sake of just a little old presentation. Now, here's where those photos come in that you've saved, hopefully found a few. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a few photos that I have associated with this listing. So there's one, there's two, and there is three. Notice that the photos have to be less than 2 megs in size, which probably won't be an issue, but may want to check that before uploading. Now, remarks. Remember, I told you to save the remarks. So I'm going to pull up the remarks that I have saved here. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to paste them in. There we go. So what we've done is added just a little bit of information. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. All right, it's uploading the photos, so it'll take a few moments. Okay, cool. So here we go. So now we have we'll call it a fake listing up. Now, every time a listing is created, your Home 123 system is going to automatically build a website, which is both desktop friendly and mobile friendly. So it's automatically built that, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so we've done that. That took all of, 2 minutes? Okay. Now let's go to step 2. So we got the listing created. And by the way, if you want to just see what the website looks like that it's created for this particular property, just click on view and it'll pull up, the listing here. You can kind of see all the information. And I didn't put any property features or there would be listed here. So you see, there's the photos. Here's, and this looks different a little bit on a mobile phone. It looks, better specifically to a mobile device. So anyway, that's what it looks like. All right, now we're going to create a text code. So I didn't really get into this yet, but we're going to go over to direct promotions. Now a text code, and by the way, there's a lot of other ways you can do this too, but I'm just going to make this sort of most simple and obvious. A text code would be if you wanted to put on the for sale sign, hey, text, a particular code to a phone number that for more information, right? So Home 123 has assigned us a phone number for text codes. It's up here at the top, this 312. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a text code. And I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do. So you can make it a word, a number. I'm just going to call it text DJ. Let's see if that's available. Now, if it's not, see, it's already been used. So if someone else has DJ, you can't use it, and it'll tell you. So now I have to call it something else. Let's see, it's 10.1046. Okay, 1046 is the address of the property, and that is available because there's a little check bar here. So, okay. All right, we're going to scroll down. Obviously, Nick is the agent. Now, choose agent link type. Now, what this means is when a client texts in, this is what's going to come back to them as a reply text. So most of the time, you're probably going to want to put agent listing. Agent listing is the web page that the system created just for that listing. So that's what we just looked at. So we'll just leave it alone. You could do other things too. You probably don't need to. Like if you have a very specific website that you've built on your own just for this listing, you could also send it to a particular URL. But most of the time, I would just have it sent to the one that's automatically created for you because it's very easy. So now it asks you to choose listing. So we're going to scroll down to the listing. Here we go. That's the one I just created. You can ignore this choose voice system option. This is really does a lot of different things. So we're just kind of ignore that for now. For the sake of this particular video, doesn't really apply. Select marketing use. I would just put, yard sign, right? So that would mean you'd put, it doesn't matter, but just to clarify it, you just put yard sign. And then leads assigned to, and it's Nick. So you just leave that alone because it's going to him. It's his lead. So we click create. Okay, and it's as simple as that. So now when anybody texts 1046 to this 312 number up top, they're going to instantly get a text back with the code, with a link rather, to the mobile-friendly website. All right, so we did all that. Now let's talk about how you would actually use this. So when you're meeting with your seller, you could say, hey, Mr. Seller, I already created a website for you, and I also created a way that what I really wanted to show you, instead of just a typical boring here's what I do for my sellers, I want to actually show you what happens when someone is interested in your property. So the first thing you want to do is, you've already created all this before the meeting, right? So you want to say, if you have a computer or on their phone, you can obviously take them directly to that mobile-friendly or desktop-friendly website you've created. But you can say, I want to, so you could definitely pull that up. And that's just a matter of you going into your back-end system, going to listings, and clicking on view, and, you could show this to them. That wouldn't pop up on theirs. And you could say, I just, based on a little information I know, I just wanted, and I'll refine it with all the correct information here once we, if you were to choose me as your broker. But anyway, I want to show you, Mr. Prospect, Mr. Seller, what happens when a prospect walks by, because I'm going to put on, in all of our marketing efforts, for example, if there's a for sale sign, I'm going to put a text code that a potential buyer who might be walking by, who shows interest in the property, I want to show you how they get instant information, and how I, as the agent, get instantly notified that somebody's interested. So, this is where you kind of have to, sort of explain it. Say, hey, we're going to put a text code. I've already created one for you, just like I've already created a website. So, Mr. Seller, let's pretend you're the prospect and walking by this property, and you're interested in learning more about it. Actually, let's back up. Let's make you the agent as the interested prospect, because this way you've already sort of confirmed that potentially your Facebook and Twitter stuff is connected as well. So let's excuse what I just said there. Let's go back and let's say, now I'm going to pretend I'm the actual prospect. So I created a text code as the agent, but I'm now a prospect, and I want to get more information on your property. And I walk by and I see the text code on the sign that says text 1046 to that phone number to get information. So I actually now can show you what that would look like. So I'm going to send it through my computer, even though we're not. This really goes through my phone. So I'm actually just going to text. I already have the text phone number there, and I'm just going to do, so this would, what you would do on your phone. You can just turn your phone around and show it to the owner, but I can do it here on my computer. So 1046, I'm texting to that phone number, and it'll take a few seconds for it to send, and it just sent. And then it'll take a few seconds here, and there's also just a few second delay because I'm doing it through my computer, where there it goes. So this is what I would have received, and what I did receive immediately on my phone. Now, if I click on this, it's going to pull up the mobile-friendly version of the website, although in this case it'll show me my desktop version because I'm on a computer. So let's see here. Well, it pulled it up on my other screen, so I'm just going to copy and paste it over here. All right, that's what the mobile-friendly version, of course, you already know what this is because we've already looked at it. This is the mobile-friendly website. So the potential buyer just got your information as the broker, name, phone number, email, and also a link to the website. Okay, great. Now say, okay, well, I'm also the broker, so I want to show you what I just received about this person who texted in. So you log into your Home 123, and you go to your contact section. And by the way, you as the agent also just got a text message. So it might be a little confusing if you're playing both the role of the prospect and the agent, because you're going to get a text message saying, hey, this person's interested in this property, right? Which is, of course, you. So it'll be a little confusing, but it'll all make sense. So basically, you go to your contacts, and there I am. So I just texted in, right? And then you could say, Mr. Agent or Mr. Owner, let me show you what I just got about the prospect, which is, really you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up this prospect, because what the system's done is it's automatically searched various social media databases, also public record databases. It's trying to find the as much information as we can, because the system only knows that person's phone number and the mobile carrier they're using. So it knew that I was an AT&T customer, and it assumes that's my email address, which is actually not really my email address. So I'm just going to quickly change that. So before you show it to your client, rather the seller, and by the way, you can do this in 2 seconds. Just say, oh, you know what? Let me just swap out my actual email address. And the reason why, I'm going to go ahead and let me save it. Let's go down to the bottom and save. And you have to change the email address field if the one for Facebook and Twitter is not the mobile carrier email, which probably 99% chance it's not. So go in and change it. Only takes a second, and then open it again. And actually, give me just a second. There it goes. Now you notice it pulled up a picture of me, and also has my address, which is pretty cool. It has a bunch of information. Let's go down to the social. So before, it didn't have my Facebook, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my Flickr, Cloud. It didn't have any of this information, my Google Plus. Oh, actually did not find my Google Plus. Okay. But it did find a bunch of other stuff. So notice it even pulled a picture of me, right? So now if your email that's with your mobile carrier that you texted in from was the same as you have for Twitter and Facebook, it would automatically grab this. But since it's probably not, you just go in and change the email address to the one you use for Facebook and Twitter, save it, refresh the page, give it 2 seconds, and it's automatically put. So you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, let me show you. So this system went and looked at Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It looked up public record and email databases, and all of a sudden it was able to pull in all of my, a lot of my information, so that me as the agent now have a pretty good idea of who this buyer is. So this will give me, more ammunition to when I call, that I have a good idea of who I'm speaking with. So let's sort of recap. That's kind of the end of what I wanted to share with you. So basically, let's kind of go back through what we actually did. And let me just do it through the, let's go back through here. Okay. So the first thing we did, and this is all on the purpose of a listing presentation, right? So basically, we've created a website for the home that you're trying to win over to get the listing. That took us just a couple of minutes. We created a text code, which is like 20 seconds, right? Then we've demonstrated to the seller, hey, I already built you something, and let me show you what happens. I've already created a whole lead distribution system, and that I'm so on top of things that I, as the agent, get instantly notified when someone's interested. Also, the client, the potential buyer, gets instantly notified. But then the system is going to scour various databases to try to find out who is that prospect, and is going to take all that data, pull it into the back end of my system, and then you've just demonstrated that, and it literally all takes a few seconds to do all of this. So it's not like you're sitting and waiting. It all takes place within the matter of 10 seconds once that lead texts to get more information. So, if you think about it in the larger context of a listing presentation, a seller may be interviewing a few brokers, and, like I said, other brokers are going to talk about how great they are and how many homes they've sold and what they do for their clients. And you can say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, instead of just boring you to death with, the same old presentation about what we're going to do to help get your home sold, I'm going to show you what I've already done. I've already actually taken some proactive steps to build you some tools that'll help get the home sold. And let me show you how they work. It's pretty cool. So you can imagine how more interesting and engaging this kind of presentation would be. The other thing you could do is have the owner pretend that they're a potential buyer and have them text in so they get that experience too. And then you can show them the information that pulls into home 123 about them. So you could say, hey, let's pretend you're the buyer and walking by and text in, let's see what happens. So the idea is that you've already created this whole network and system. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that no one else that you're up against will have done that. It shows a lot of effort and also it has to be something that they would find pretty impressive. So that's basically the end. You may want to watch this a few times to sort of get the gist of it, but it's pretty straightforward. And I'll be coming with some additional videos on how to do more cool stuff like this to help you guys close more business. So best of luck.